Good evening, my brothers and our beloved sisters. Welcome once again to Blackmen Declare. I'm the Godfather Mike Side, and we have with us tonight, of course, Cyber Aki, the truth, and also the peacemaker. We welcome you once again to Blackmen Declare, where we intend to bring you truth from a black man perspective. And we are honored to bring you and share with you that which we believe we have received from the Most High. We are involved in a series of discussions regarding the bipolar reality of America. Last week, we took a dive into religion versus morality and pretty much concluded that morality really has a higher level of calling than religion, because religion is something that's created by man. Tonight, we plan to move into democracy. And we know that it's a very insightful subject because from its founding, democracy was declared in principle that all men are created equal. While it excluded, at least it appears historically and from our reality, it excluded Africans, indigenous people to America, and women. Now, this contradiction has never been fully resolved. As a matter of fact, scholars call this the paradox of America. That how can you be told one thing, yet we as Black people, we have been structurally and systemically kept outside of its full participation. But there are many structural barriers to the whole reality of democracy, political, economic, and cultural. Tonight, we're going to deal with all of them in some form or fashion, and we know we won't touch all of them. You may have your favorite aspect of what democracy may mean to you. We have had some success, but in America, we should not discount that. We've had the opportunity to vote, so we've had a chance to participate in the political system. We have a representation that we is higher than ever before in the political process in America. So we know that there has been improvement, but most of that improvement is based on the fact that regardless of how there may be structure and systemic realities put in place, it's the quality of our people that's allowed us to move forward. So I like to start off tonight in a general manner and just asking our esteemed panelists, starting with Cyber Aki. When you think of the word democracy in America, what comes to mind in your reality of life in America?
Peace to my brothers, my colleagues in this fight for truth, freedom, justice, and equality. Democracy, when it first hits my mind, the first thing I think about is slavery. The second thing I think about is raping, pillaging, killing, stealing, robbing, looting across the world to spread something under the name of democracy. So when I think about democracy, only evil thoughts come to mind.
Pretty powerful initiation. How are you going to respond to that, peacemaker? What's your thoughts on this whole concept of democracy? Be concise.
Greetings to our sisters and brothers of Blackmen Declare. I somewhat agree because of the fact when I think about democracy, I think about tyranny. I think about kings. I think about dictators because it's hard to recognize and understand democracy when you've never seen it in person. We understand the concept, but for there to be realistically, we haven't had a whole lot of democracy in these United States.
Well, the truth, I know you got some perspectives. You got a great historical framework, being that you study history. When you think about democracy in America as it relates to Black folks, what are your thoughts?
When I think about democracy, when it relates to Black people in America, they say that all men are created equal, but in reality, it's not meant for us. We know the Constitution was set laws that were set to construct how individuals should treat one another. But democracy, when it comes down in reality, is not just the majority rule, but you have a set of laws that everybody must abide by. But in America today, that doesn't apply because it seems like democracy is on trial. Democracy is what they say. It's not just for all the people. It's for some people. When I say that, it means that when you look at today, you're looking at an executive branch that demonstrate now that democracy is not working in America because it's one branch that's overruling all the other branches where it was set up to have checks and balances, which we don't have today. That's what I'm thinking about democracy in America for Black people.
Well, if you think about democracy in and of itself, if it's based on the concept of the majority, everyone being equal, everyone having an equal vote. Yet when we look at the reality of America, but democracy can't work for the majority because we are not the majority. It can't work for Black people. W.E.B. Du Bois, he had this quote that I like to read. It said, democracy in America is built on the wages of whiteness, a system where poor whites are bribed by racial superiority rather than true equality, meaning that whites, poor whites even, are motivated by this concept of racial superiority. And that's how, for lack of a better term, they can get their jollies off and feel they're superior to Black people. Cyber, if you were dealing with a poor white person and you was having a one-on-one conversation, how would you approach them to get them to open up their minds and see that they would be better off if they align with poor Black people rather than trying to align with rich white people that don't have anything about what they're experiencing in the first place?
That's a powerful question and something that I deal with quite on a daily basis. My philosophy is to always try to find ways that we agree on, things that we agree on, and attack subjects from that matter. When it comes to poor white folks, my thought process is always to lead with neither party care about either one of us. If we could understand that neither party really cares about one of us, then we could find pieces where we could come together and strategize and plot as poor white, poor Black, and have an agenda. The problem is most Black people and most white people really think one side of the aisle really cares about what they are into. And the average American, you have no party. You have no party really that you should be tied to because neither of the parties can relate to the average American citizen. They just can't. The laws are not even structured to relate to the average American citizen. So I think that is the primary thing is to lead with neither party really cares. So because most of the time when you're talking, they think when you say something, oh, he must be Democrat or he must be Republican. No, I'm starting with neither party cares about us.
That's a powerful statement. And Peacemaker, I know that part of what Du Bois wrote, even in way back in the day, Black Reconstruction, he said the problem with America in the 20th century was a color line. Well, if that was in the 20th century, is the problem with America the color line in the 21st century? Has it really changed? Has it improved? And if it has, what would make a Black man think that democracy is his or hers to have in the 21st century versus the 20th?
I think the lines have changed, and the color is green. I think now when you think about real democracy, it's based upon who has the influence of power. who has most capital. So you can be, and we've seen it where, depending on your bank account, that's the wealth of power. That's democracy. That's who has what we would call the juice. So I don't think the color lines. I think it's based upon the color of green. Who has the most of it, and who can dish out and maintain and use that for whatever agenda they have.
Now, Peacemaker, some may challenge you on that point and say, yes, that is true that there are some that have become quite economically successful. Yet at the end of the day, we could point out to many examples of where those that even had the money, O.J. Simpson, was he guilty or not guilty? Everything came down to racial lines. Bill Cosby, was he guilty or not guilty? Everything came down to racial lines. Now, the 47, he's been accused of many different felonies, yet he still in some kind of way is running this nation. Sean Combs, I'm not condoning anything he ever had a chance to do, but he's in prison. I mean, Epstein and his fiance, or whatever she was, she now seems like she about to get a sweet deal. So money, maybe, I don't know, Cyber, maybe you want to come from another angle. Do you really, Cyber, think money is going to bring you true democracy in America? I kind of question it myself, but perhaps one of the other panelists might agree with you. Let's see, Peacemaker.
For me, I know John Hope Bryan, someone who I listen to a lot about financial freedom and stuff. He preaches that money, the green is the color, not your skin color, and I disagree vehemently. Even before Sean Puffy Combs got into the trouble that he was in, he came to InvestFest and he made a he made a bold statement. He said, even when I got to the level that I got to now with all of these billions of dollars, the playing field was different, but I still had the same challenges and issue with these white folks that you have in your everyday life. And we've heard countless other superstars. Michael Jackson comes to mind when he started dealing with Sony from a let's quote unquote boss perspective. Michael Jackson was a boss in his realm of endeavors. He was a boss. But when he had to go up against the machine, it ended very quickly. Why? Because of the color of his skin. The green, yes, it gets you to a point, and that's a buffer zone. What they want you to do is say, black folks, we give you this green, we're going to give you this money, you behave, you come up, and you are to be the buffer between us, between the power structure, and between the everyday black man and woman in America. And I think that's where most of us get it confused. We think that money is going to lead us to the same table that a lot of these billionaires get. If that was the case, we have, I think last time I checked, which was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, we got 3 billionaires that are double digit, and they only like 11 or 10 billion dollars. You could combine all the billionaires together of black billionaires, and you are nowhere near Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or some of those big wigs that you're talking about. What kind of power do we really have?
Oh, I love it. I love it. But now, Truth, one of the things that, and I know from your historical perspective, one of the things that the boys said was that the United States is fundamentally hypocritical, meaning that we say one thing or it says one thing out of its mouth, but it then turns around and will say something else. And aren't we seeing this right now in the leadership in the United States of America? We are seeing such hypocritical deception comments being made by leaders all over this nation. But Truth, share with us, what's your thought process? Is America still just from its core, just fundamentally hypocritical?
Yes, they are. I'm going to make a statement here about Charles Barkley. He makes some of the statements he makes sometimes. I agree and disagree, but he's on point, in my opinion, on this one. He said that, I'm going to quote what he says. He said, politicians at divide and conquer. He repeatedly blamed both Republicans and Democratic politicians for a divide and conquer strategy that pits groups against each other to maintain their own power and wealth. In 2021 interview, he stated that politicians divide and conquer by making the whites and blacks not like each other and scrambling the middle class, all while maintaining their own wealth. He argued that politicians do a good job of making us fight with each other over issues like immigration and race, distracting from the reality that the rich are the ones who benefit. So I agree with that statement because you look at some of the politicians that are both Democrat and Republicans. They say one thing and they do another. So again, uh, uh, this is a distraction where the rich continue to get wealthy and the poor continue to be poor because it's a distraction. And Donald Trump is one example, a distraction. The rich is getting rich and the poor getting poor in this society. If we all pull together, poor whites, poor blacks, pull together, we can be a powerful group. But again, they are a demagogue up there. Demagogues. They say one thing and do another.
I think you're a poor truth because here's the deal. If we could come together economically and form some kind of allegiance, you would be able to amass the type of political and economic power to really make things happen. But when you use race as a differentiator in how people deal with each other, even sex is a differentiator. You will never be able to conquer, you'll never be able to sustain a fight against the elitists. That's just has always been a reality from the beginning. But I know Peacemaker that Michelle Alexander, she wrote a book called The New Jim Crow. And in The New Jim Crow, she said really the racial system in America is like a caste system. It's like you could get so far but you can't get far enough. And because we are at each other's throat based on the economic needs that we have, we can't seem to come together because we have all of those other things that divide us, like we spoke last week, the religious piece. And so, because of that and our inability to be objective about common goals, we have a very difficult time of coming together. So, Peacemaker, help me understand or give me you're familiar with that DC area, for example. Are people coming together with all of those National Guardsmen being there, or yet do you still have some of the Europeans making validation for why they should be there based on this concept of fear and lawlessness?
In reality, what you see is a lot of our Caucasian brothers and sisters actually protesting and rallying against these who are now trying to police. And whenever they see any kind of military force, they pull out their cameras, they start filming, they start telling them, and then they even got into the point where they now will tell drivers a block or two, don't go down that street, go down this other street. So I find it interesting that you see now more Caucasians than you do blacks that are now rallying against them. But I really don't know, and I maybe need to inquire, why are they doing this? Are they doing it because they have a fear of what could possibly come with martial law? Or could it be because they really have a sense of, I want to stand with the black and brown family?
The Cyber Key, given what Peacemaker has shared, do you think the heart of whites, and this is a difficult question, I'm sure. In general, though, the hearts of white folks have really changed, or are those people marching because they don't like the fact that some of those National Guards people are infiltrating in their neighborhoods? Because if I remember from chatting with the peacemaker earlier, they're not going down to what we would call the hood. They're
That's
not
correct.
making. That's correct.
Yeah, they're not going to the hood.
They're not. So, what you think, Cyber Key? Is it for the camera? Is it truly because they want to see justice applied to black folks in D.C.?
That's a question I can't answer, man. To be truthful, I have no idea what's in
We
the
just
heart.
speculate. We just speculate.
I,
You
I
just
understand. I understand what we speculate, but what I'm saying is, I can't think what's in the mind of of white folks, because we for too long thought that we had overcome because of white people's mindset, and now we find ourselves right back into a similar situation as our ancestors did. That was brought up in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. It's getting closer and closer. We thought that some had changed, and as one of my great heroes, Muhammad Ali, said, it's 10,000 rattlesnakes out there, and you tell me it's a few of them good. So what I supposed to do? Hold this door open and try to pick out the few thousand of rattlesnakes that's not going to bite me, or am I just supposed to shut this door? And it's getting to that point for black people that we may have to shut the door.
Man, that's a great answer. I just listened to Muhammad the other day with that one. That was a great answer, man. I appreciate that because we really can't. We can speculate, but we know there's some very weak speculation because we cannot begin to understand the heart and the mind of someone that's been conditioned to believe in superiority ever since they may have been born and ever since this nation was birthed. But truth, in your world and how you see things today, Eddie Gall, he's a professor at Duke and Princeton, been other places. He says that, if I may read, he believes true democracy requires moral reckoning. America cannot get it there until it tells the truth about race. And then Cordell West, he really gives another piece on this by saying democracy is impossible without truth telling, justice, and love as public values. And we have a situation now where 47 is doing his best to eliminate the truth telling, the storytelling, and the real truth about America. Given that, does democracy have any greater chance for black people in America?
Brothers, this is the test that we are facing. That the truth being told, we have those ones they say in high positions that are trying to block the truth. But it all starts the grassroots. Those individuals that are working on the ground to spread the message. So Trump, again, 47, is trying all he can do by executive orders to do everything to, even in schools, you look at the Department of Education, he'll come up with DEI and trying to make kids feel, the Caucasian race feel, bad about slavery. We know slavery was a bad institution, but somehow he want to make it, not show what's going on in reality. So I would say, brothers out there, that truth is still going to be told. It can be told at home, in the church, in us on this Blackmen Declare. So I would say, whatever these individuals in high position is trying to do, is still going to be told. So that's where the grassroots is starting from the kids to the grandmas, the moms, the dad, the preachers. So you can't stop the truth from being told. So we know that this individual is trying all he can to do what he can do. So I'm not going to fret over it because it's still the truth is still going to be told. So I say that in love.
Yeah, he's the flag bearer at the moment. I guess is one way he could be described. You know, there's a lot of people behind him. Cyber, James Baldwin made the statement that America's democratic ideals are fatally compromised by racial lies and the avoidance of accountability. Why is it so difficult for America to hold itself accountable?
My brother, I think it goes back to the topic, the bipolar reality of a people that was brought here, that came here looking for freedom from the Queen of England, only to enslave another group of people. That whole, not only enslaved people, but every stop that they went along, they murdered, steal, raped, pillaged, killed off, gave blankets with chicken pox. That whole reality in itself shows you that you're dealing with a people that's unstable in all of their ways.
Mm-hmm.
And to be truthful, I don't even put the fault on them. I put more the fault on Black leadership in America, especially after education came. Now, we still had some that came before we really got educated that was powerful in their own rights, but especially when we started getting educated and to still try to deal with a group of people that is never even want to admit to their wrongdoing, let alone pay for it, but they don't even want to admit their wrongdoing. And you still going to sit at their dinner table and eat and break bread with them? Something is wrong with us. We know something is wrong with them, but something is wrong with us internally that you can sit at a table where somebody just smacked your mother, just raped your mother, just killed your mother, just killed your brother, and you could sit at a table and eat dinner with them and tell them that you love them and everything is going to be okay. And you expect them to get up from that dinner table and do something different than what they already done before when they showed you their hand? Something is wrong.
Not gonna happen. Peacemaker. This is one of your buddies. Your buddy, Neely Fuller, said that white supremacy is a global system that dictates every interaction. He argues democracy under white supremacy is a myth. Until the system is dismantled, true democracy is not possible. Would you agree with Mr. Neely Fuller? Why?
Because of the fact that when you look at, it's something inside of them. It's something that is inherent. I was looking at a video earlier, an old Donahue show, and they had the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on there, and they divided the audience up into two, a white side and a black side, and all these people who were white was saying that they were afraid and that they were scared. And what most of the people said, there is something inside of you that you don't want to face the reality, a ugliness that you are afraid that if people of color ever got in power, that we would do to you as you have done to our ancestors. When I hear my brother Fuller's talk, I think he's really referencing that also. I think he's talking about the fact that there is a fear that white supremacy has, that if they ever let go of power, perceived power and dominance, that they will fall into a position where they will receive everything plus more of what they have given to our ancestors. And they really do not want to be in that position. So when I hear about the duality and democracy, I still think that is inherent for those who practice white supremacy. They are just afraid, as we would say, the rooster is going to come home to roost.
You know, one of the last questions I had in my mind for truth was based on the military. You know, back about now 70 years or so ago, the president, you know, General Eisenhower, I believe his name was, he said that America should be careful and, you know, don't get too embraced with his military, too enamored with the military, and to be careful what he called the military industrial complex. Truth, how has the military industrial complex also made it more difficult for democracy to be executed in America?
That is a question that I've been pondering for a long time. The military complex. Some believe that, and you know, it goes back to the Vietnam War, that it was manufactured based on the military, the complex, that industry making money. So it's the military. If you look at it down through the years, and I've seen it where Halliburton, they had ashtrays that just a regular ashtray was going for like hundreds of dollars for an ashtray. Even some of the cafeteria food, food that they serve. So the military, when you come down to contracting and all of this, it's a money making industry. It's a money making industry. And I'm going to make a comment, brothers, that it's been on my mind for a long time. And every time I see that individual, even on TV, come on like cowboy movies or whatever. This person is named John Wayne, and we talking about democracy. He made a statement. He says this, and and every time, even my wife, she see that she turned the channel real quick. He said that he's a believer in white supremacy. He stated, he said, I believe in white supremacy until the blacks are educated to a point of responsibility. I don't believe in giving authority and position of leadership and judgment to irresponsible people. So that hit home there, because no matter how far you get in life in this country, and you say this is the democratic country, there's white supremacy that's still gonna say no. You're not qualified. You're a DEI, or something like that. But again, your question on that military complex, it's a difficult to me to understand how a country so powerful as the United States, making money. It's a money-making machine, that military complex. If you look around, you got all of these industries, from weapons to you got armor carriers, all type of things. But that military complex is a money-making scheme to me, and I'm gonna hold to that truth until to otherwise someone convince me it's not a money-making machine. Amen.
I would coin, if I was going to coin that military industrial complex, it's like a capital line extension. right? You'd have your normal ebb and flow of commerce. But when you can augment that with a big stick called the military, then you can separate yourself from other places as we look at what happened after World War II and all of that kind of stuff. But it's an augmentation of this whole hypocrisy that Du Bois talked about and all of these other great thinkers tonight. But I want to give everybody 1 minute to just, if you were going to come up with a plan or a little, not a strategy, just a thought, just leave it at a thought. What would be a thought you would have on what can we do? We're doing this as Black Men Declare. We're attempting to raise some awareness and some different kind of thinking, just a different kind of thinking. But what could we do individually to 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 just make people aware of the dysfunctionality and the bipolarism that exists in America, and not do it in a mean spirited manner, but in a spirit of love. I really appreciate how you brothers say when you conclude you come here, I share that in love. That's a beautiful thing. Let's start in Cyber Key. What tugs at your heart, my brother? What can we do, if anything?
I think one, we got to continue the conversation with those people of other color who are open minded to hear it. But my thing is not to spend too much time, because we already spent a lot of time, and our kids and grandkids and great grandkids are about to suffer, seems like, because of the time we wasted on doing just that. We still got to spend that time, as long as we here in America spend some time, but our time should be focused on building infrastructure in the Black community. I think that's the most important thing. We got to rebuild our own infrastructure. We have zero infrastructure right now. If I wanted to call a cab, a bus, or anything, there's no Black companies that I can call upon. There's barely any Black hotels left that we can call. There's barely any Black news stations that we can pull up. So we have to rebuild our infrastructure. I think that's the most vital, important, a critical aspect of what we need to do.
Well stated. Peacemaker.
I would start with our youth and talk about how can we provide conflict resolution. I think one of the problems that we have is that we have a lot of people who get upset, but do not know how to exercise and how to channel and focus that energy for positivity. I remember growing up, it was about my size and about my brute force and strength. But as I got older, I realized that it wasn't my power and it wasn't my size that got me where I needed to go, or the influence that it provided, but it was about my intelligence. And when I was able to articulate a clear thought and focus on a problem and problem solving or conflict resolution, that is when situations change. So instead of just always rushing out to fight or destroy, or as I was born in the riots, I think that we need to teach our youth how to conflict resolution, how to deal with conflict resolutions and conflict, and be able to come up with a better solution than what we have in the past.
All right. Truth.
I believe today we should focus on our resources and our youth. They are our future. Teaching them about economics, about race and justice, and also just teaching them how to relate when it comes down to conflict. Don't be so get mad and so quick. You can also hurt your future by doing things that for example, fighting. A fight, and that could destroy your history. because that's what it all boils down to a resolution, that conflict. But the majority of things that we are facing today is our resources in our youth, economics. That's where it boils down to, economics. And that next generation is going to be our future, which is our youth.
Brothers, the only thing I could add to the economic piece would be improving our skills, our skill sets in all areas, especially technologically. STEMs, we know there's science, technology, engineering, math, and I know we all will agree with that. But we must get to that point to where we continue to improve our skills and be able to compete at very high levels. When I hear about the Michael Dells, the Bill Gates, and the Zuckerbergs and the Jeff Bezos and all of these people. And I always say, man, we got to have some fun. Reggie Lewis wrote the book, Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun? We got to have some fun. And our young people, I agree with all you brothers, sincerely, the young people are the ones that's we got to identify them. We have to help develop them, grow them, give them the resources they need so we can make a change for the better in this place we call America. It's our home. We have just as much right here as any other citizen. We like for you to hit that subscription button, give us a like, become a subscriber. Let us know what your comments may be. Make some comments below, ask a question, send an email, whatever you may want to do. We like to hear from you. We want to grow the channel. We want to be relevant and pertinent, but we believe as a group of brothers covering several generations that we have a perspective to share, a story to tell that should not be silenced. We need to increase it, and we need to make it happen. This is the Godfather, Mike Side, sharing with you once again. Peace. Until then.